Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today I'm going to be talking about the challenges of adapting the Diablo Warlock into Dungeons and Dragons. So a couple months ago, Blizzard came out with their big reveal. They're adding the Warlock to Diablo 4, to Diablo Immortal, and surprise, surprise, to Diablo 2 as well. And as excited as I was, that means I have another class that I have to adapt into D&D. So, as fun as this has been, this has brought on a ton of problems for me. So let's go through the background of why this is a problem, where the problems stem from, and possible solutions. So, first and foremost, you need to understand why there are problems in the first place. What I have decided on for the classes that are both in Diablo and Dungeons & Dragons is that I take the framework from D&D and copy them over. You can see this on the Paladin, on the Sorcerer, on the Druid. Sorcerer is a little wonky because they're a little different, but also on the Barbarian. Mostly this is a matter of, say, starting equipment or proficiencies and hit dice, but also on their leveling. So the Druid, for example, they get their shapeshifting the same time the D&D Druid gets their shapeshifting. They get a certain ability at the same level that they get a slightly different ability and whatnot. Their subclasses are all the same and whatnot. It provides a nice, easy transition from one version of the Druid to another. And this is why I'm doing the same thing for the Warlock, copying over a lot of the abilities from the Warlock into the Diablo Warlock. So, this is where the problems start. You have 20 levels, 4 of them are blank, so there's no abilities to copy. There are 4 subclass abilities. There's Pact Magic and 4 Mystic Arcanums. There are 5 ability score increases, and then there is Eldritch Invocation, Pact Boon, and Eldritch Master. Now that seems like a lot, but it really isn't. With the subclass system being ported directly over, ability score increases, same thing, because every class has the ability score increases at those levels. The Rogue gets 1 additional one, and the Fighter, of course, gets 2, but every class gets those ability score increases. The Pact Magic and the Mystic Arcanums, those are the spellcasting system that the Warlock has, different from the other classes entirely, but it's still their spellcasting system, so that one's getting ported over directly. We are left with Eldritch Invocations, Pact Boon, and Eldritch Master. That's not a lot to work with. On top of that, the Eldritch Invocations provide a ton of power because the Warlock doesn't have a ton of other abilities. They've all been kind of condensed into these Warlock invocations. The Pact Boon provides a lot of flexibility in what kind of goal you're working towards. The Warlock itself is incredibly flexible. For example, I played a Fathomless Warlock that was a sniper. I picked up Eldritch Spear, I picked up Grasp of Hadar and Repelling Blast, and I built my character to pick people off with Spell Sniper, doubling the range of my 300-foot Eldritch Blast, to pick people off of walls at 600 feet. This is a sniper. However, I have, with the same subclass, an entirely different character concept who picks up a bunch of polearm feats and is an area denial. Somebody comes walking in, well, I've got a polearm master, I'm going to smack them with an opportunity attack. Oh, guess what? You happened to have an opportunity attack against you? Well, my sentinel feat stops you from moving. Oh, and guess what? Because I have Warcaster, I can target you with my Eldritch Blast and knock you back and stop you from moving. Nobody's getting in, and if you try to outrange me, well, I've got Eldritch Blast. Not to mention, I also have a Tentacle because of Fathomless Warlock. And so here's the same subclass and 2 vastly different ideas of what I want to pick up and build around. No other class has that level of modularity. I mean, full spellcasters, of course, because you can pick your spells and whatnot, but still, That's really, really interesting. And that's what the Warlock is about. When you look at the Diablo Warlock, there's not all that much, because there are very distinct builds. And yeah, they kind of fall into this idea of the three packed boons. You have your Eldritch Warlock that wants to use weapons and hexes and whatnot. You have your Chaos Warlock, that is your kind of pact of the book, whatever the book one is, that focuses on casting spells. And then you have your Pact of the Chain Warlock that focuses on summoning creatures, and that's your demon skill tree. But if I just port over Pact boons directly, then it just becomes the D&D Warlock. And while I like that idea, I don't want that to be just what I end up doing, because then I might as well just make the Diablo Warlock D&D subclasses. And I want these to separate themselves at a bigger distance, because I want these to be very different. See the Druid. So that leaves me with, what do I do? Pact boons are great. Eldritch Invocations are great. But I have to have some kind of power system built into the class that makes it more powerful as you level up. So that's what I've done. I have what I've called esoteric lore. It's basically reskinned Eldritch Invocations, and I've taken some of the abilities that the Warlock has in Diablo and kind of broken them apart and kind of mixed them in to make something, but I'm also running out of ideas of what to put in there. And I try to not put original ideas into these adaptations, because I want to pull directly from Diablo. This is one of the reasons why I pulled some of the sorcerer abilities, because those were not from Diablo. And this works. It does work, but it's also causing the problems of making it too much, I feel, too much like the D&D Warlock. As for the Pact boons, what I've done is, instead of the Pact boon itself, I have made Summon Hellion. As an ability, it gives you the spell Summon Hellion. The Summon Hellion spell mashes together the Summon Goatman, Summon Tainted, and Summon Defiler into one ability, and it's built exactly like Summon Fae, Summon Demon, Summon... what are the other ones? Aberration, Summon Construct, things like that, where you can kind of customize it to what you need. You pick a mood for the Summon Fae, for example, and you can get a mirthful or a wrathful or a tricksy Fae. And this kind of works because Summon Hellion, as a second level spell, getting it at third level, that's great. But it didn't really feel right. It felt weird because there was nothing else you could really do with the Summon Hellion, so I gave it this kind of pseudo pact boon, which doesn't feel right because it's too much like the D&D Warlock. In addition to that, it also has elements of consume. So consume in Diablo is sacrificing one of the demons that you have summoned. You can have up to 3, and getting benefits from it. You get health increase, you get move speed, and you also get some other abilities. So for example, if you sacrifice your Goatman, your critical strike chance increases. You sacrifice your Tainted, your fire resistance goes up. You sacrifice your Defiler, and your magic damage goes up. You can bind other demons with the bind demon ability, and you can sacrifice them for other effects. Your lightning resistance goes up, your attack rating goes up, or whatever. There's a whole bunch. And the problem with putting this Summon Hellion, sacrificing it, and then getting this other ability is that it becomes consume, which you get at 30th level in Diablo, which corresponds to a much higher level in D&D, and it just doesn't feel right. On top of Summon Hellion, as a second level spell, you're not getting it at first level, which causes problems with the Diabolist, which is what I'm calling the Summoner Warlock. The Diabolist gets their ability at level 1, because that's when you get your subclass, but as a level 2 spell, you don't get it until 3rd level. I have looked through all of D&D. The only way I can find to get a 2nd level spell before level 3, so level 1 or level 2, is to be a variant human and pick up the Shadow-Touched Feat, which gives you invisibility at level 1, but it's a level 2 spell. Now, there is a possibility of just dropping Summon Hellion down to a 1st level spell, but that brings in all kinds of dangerous power creep issues, because you could take a 1 level dip into Warlock and pick it up, and now you have a summon spell, a fairly powerful summon spell for level 1. And that's probably why all of the summon spells begin at level 2 with Summon Beast, and only for the Druid. Most everything else is level 3 up to level 5. I think there's level 6, but I'm not entirely sure. And that's pretty much it. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck here. I want to have some kind of simple fix, but I'm just one guy. All of this stuff has been created with feedback, thankfully, with feedback from the players that I run through this content. They're testing it. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I could just continue doing what I'm doing by leaving the esoteric lore, which I think is the main problem, and expanding onto it and adding more abilities. That feels like the right thing to do, because it's just, it's mimicking the Eldritch Invocations, and the Warlock, the D&D Warlock, is very well designed. But it also feels like I'm just copy-pasting the D&D Warlock. The other possibility is remove esoteric lore entirely, put in some other ability, and then distribute what I've currently created as abilities into the other levels. So you could get an ability at level 4 and level 6 and level 10 and 11 and so on and so forth. And that's fine, but that also means that I would be adding abilities onto levels that the D&D Warlock doesn't have. And I've done this before with, say, the Barbarian, for example, but the Barbarian is also a martial class. They get abilities at every level. I think all summed up, I'm getting pulled in 2 directions. I want to be like the D&D Warlock, but I don't want to be like the D&D Warlock. And that tension is just building, and it's paralyzing the development of this class. I want to have this class ready to be played by May 1st, when I go down to Las Vegas for MagicCon and present it to people to play. So if you're at MagicCon Las Vegas and you see this, I'm usually under the dragon that they hang up in the rafters, and running games for people to come and play. But I just don't know what to do. And so I'm asking for your help, asking for your opinions. What can you think? What advice do you have? At this moment, I'm open to pretty much anything. I don't know if I've fully explained everything properly. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, I'm working with simultaneously a lot and not a lot here. I just realized that I've not even touched the level 20 ability. I mean, yeah, I could put Consume or Bind Demon there, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a whole lot that's going on here. So I think I've said what I'm interested in saying, so I am just going to end it here. You can contact me at Xenozfan2, that is Xenozfan2 on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.